cartoons, like they either fill like up with like the red as they're getting angry, or like all the color drips. It was like all of the information of what was happening, like slowly like lowered down on my face.
Which is pretty rare for me, because I'm usually like the guy that just wants to miss the flights, right? Like I don't care. But I was just irritated for whatever reason. And she's looking and, you know, she's all calm and all this stuff, which is adding to my irritation. In this video, we're talking about attention. We're not talking about practice. We're talking about attention, why it's so critical, how to get it, why you need to have it as a client and as a coach selling your services and just out walking in the world. And there's an impromptu coaching session that happens. So pay attention. Let's talk about attention for a little while here. We're going to talk about why attention is so important to focus on, especially in today's world and where the world is going in terms of online marketing and all that kind of stuff. And there's going to be a takeaway for you and how you're paying attention or not paying attention, but also how to get clients to pay attention. And I want you to really focus on this thing called attention. But first, in order to get us into this, Michelle, I want you to share a story. It's story time with Michelle.
That's funny. Yeah, I've been really irritated and kind of pissed, kind of really pissed at the amount of the sheer volume of people who don't pay attention, who respond to emails asking questions that were answered in the email, or answer questions that weren't actually asked. And people
so let me set this up a little bit before you keep going. I think you're being pretty diplomatic, which is fine. I understand. So we sent out an email recently to our community about free coaching, right? That, you know, the world is crazy right now and all kinds of people are traumatized and all kinds of people are dealing with fears. And, you know, a lot of people have lost their jobs and don't have money and all this stuff. And we just want to help. And so we sent an email out to our list that said, if you could use some free coaching, but money is the reason that you haven't been able to hire a coach, then just let us know. We're going to give away some free coaching to our community. And, you know, and Michelle wrote the email and it asked certain questions and explained certain things and all this stuff. And some of the responses were actually really irritating. And then we sent out an email to our community of coaches and said, for those of you that are interested in being some of the coaches that deliver some of the free coaching, let us know, answer a few questions, you know, tell us by this date or whatever. And so these are some of the emails or these are the two emails I think specifically that Michelle is talking about. And I can certainly throw my stuff on there as well. I don't know how many times people have asked me to send them a link and I'm like, it's 3 lines in. It's the thing with the blue, bold font with the underline on it that says, click this link. You mean that one? Is that the one that you want me to send you? Or people that just ask what time certain things are and whatever. And some of it I totally get. And I'm sure I've asked a lot of those questions as well. And when you're dealing with, you know, just people, humans, right? And you got a lot of emails going out, and a lot of emails coming in, and some of this stuff happens. And, you know, and we're not trying to be like uber judgmental, and we hold this with a lot of humor and all that stuff. And there's some profound lessons in all of this, as well as just some irritation. And so that's what specifically we were talking about earlier today. And I was like,
we weren't talking about it.
We got to capture this. Let's do a video.
Yeah. I yelled at you. I mean, I think I asked you first if you were sure that you wanted to open this can of worms, because once I got started, I was not going to stop and I wasn't going to be nice about it. And so I do feel better, right? So that's, you know, a lesson, right? To express, Express yourself, right? And I raised my hand a few moments ago, Sean, when you said that, because here's the thing that I know after all of the time that I've spent in this work, and I'm still spending in this work, is that if something is pissing me off about somebody else, that is nothing but a mirror for me. So I'm clear on that. And I'm also human. And so sometimes I don't want to look at that quite yet. I just put that on hold. And I allow myself to just like to feel and experience that irritation, and allow it to be voiced and allow it to be okay. And then be really curious about it. It's like, what, because I'm fascinated by the way the human mind works, and I'm fascinated by our behaviors and why we do the things that we do, and why I have totally done the exact same things in the past. And it's simultaneously interesting and then also highly irritating when people are asking, literally, like you said, Sean. I'm like, but I put it in the email that you're responding to, and you didn't, I'm like, you didn't read it. Like, you couldn't have read it, because the answer to the question that you're asking is in, and I just copy and paste
especially
it.
when it's just a few lines in. I get it. We send some emails that are long. Sure. And if it's like in line number 81, I get it. You didn't make it that far, but you have to intentionally miss that one that says, click this link. So some of it is, it can be irritating.
I don't like it when it's lazy. That's what I think. And I know this because I totally operated out of a victim mentality for a lot of my life, and just somebody help me. And when I say help me, I mean, just give it to me, because I don't want to have to work hard. I don't want to have to look it up. I don't want to have to do the research. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to mess up. So just tell me what the answer is. I don't want to have to read it and figure it out for myself. And I can speak for me. That's the thing that irritates me, is the people that are seeming to be waiting for that rescue, and then me being in the position of, do I answer their question, and how do I say, read the email while also being polite and professional, and these are humans and they're busy, and so how do I like hold my role in advocacy as a coach for empowerment and personal ownership, and not
not drop some F-bombs.
I was gonna say, not cuss you out.
So there's some really interesting, important, significant things to dissect there. You said seeming, which I think is important, right? People that are seeming to be lazy. And of course, we don't know that they're actually being lazy, but to your point earlier, it's highlighting something that's obviously triggering to you. And one of the most profound lessons that I've learned, and I know you've learned, and it's a really important coaching concept, is that whatever's irritating us about other people is usually irritating us about us first. That's why we're paying attention to it, right? So when people don't respond to my emails, I get irritated, and then I look, let's see how many I got right now. I got 830 unread emails, and those are just the unread ones. Those are still, like, if you add all the ones that are not unread, it's well into the 4 digits. And so here I am getting irritated at people not responding to my emails. And how many emails have I not responded to? Or we get irritated when people are lazy, or we get irritated when people are not cleaning up their own messes, or not being in integrity, or whatever. And the first question to ask is, where is this showing up in my life? And most of the time, the answer will be very fast, probably not something that you want to look at, but very fast. Because the reality is this: if it's not an internal trigger already, if we're not out or in conflict or out of integrity already, then the thing still might be noticeable to us, although sometimes it won't, but it won't be so irritating to us. So most of the time when we're irritated at other people, it's projection, because they are, as you said earlier, a mirror of something we don't want to look at, something that we are just irritated at ourselves for. And that's where the profoundness can come into it. But it requires us to do what you said, is to be curious and to go, fascinating. Why is this email so triggering? Or why from this person who I dearly love am I finding myself getting triggered? And why do I want to drop the F-bomb? And why do I just want to burn the whole thing down? You know, like whatever those triggers are and our temptations are, it's so critical for us to explore, especially if we want to do this thing called coaching and just personal development and evolution, right? It's just so easy for us to put our blinders on, and anything that triggers us, we wish weren't there. But a lot of times those triggers are actually our biggest teachers, or at least our opportunities to learn something about ourselves. And that's how we can seemingly change other people's behavior. Now, it doesn't actually change their behavior, but it can change our reaction to their behavior because it's no longer lighting up anything inside of us. So this is, we call it the evolved question, or, the big girl, big boy, big them question.
Annoying question.
What's that?
Annoying question.
The annoying questions. And the deeper the irritation, the more important this thing is. Now, I do want to say that when we're irritated at other people, especially when we're angry at other people, it won't always be something that we are offending first. It could be something that we just have a deep, deep value around, and our perception is that that person is offending it. But more often than not, we're offending it first, which is why we become the police of that particular thing. And that's just kind of human nature. If I can call other people out on the thing that I'm doing, then it takes away the attention off the thing that I'm doing. And that's why it's just so easy for us to accuse other people of lying, or accuse other people of the things that we don't want to look at of ourselves. But sometimes we might check in with ourselves and go, where is this showing up in our life? And actually not find it. And then in that case, at least it highlights, what values am I perceiving to be offended here? And either way, it provides a lot of insight into what's really important to us. If the first thing happens, you realize that you're actually offending your own thing first, that you're trying to go catch other people doing, well, then the answer is stop offending it. The answer is clean up your own house first. And we never, at least my experience is, I never want to hear that. I saw the reaction in your face right there as you
roll my eyes at you earlier.
I saw the long blink and underneath the eye roll, and
I'm sitting on my hand so I don't do the finger.
Right. And that's called leaning in. But leaning in with curiosity, as you said.
Yeah.
So add anything to that you want, but then I want to really dive into this paying attention thing.
Yeah, it's important. I think it's a really powerful coaching question, not only to what Sean said for yourself, but to highlight what he said also for our clients, just to be willing to explore that. And there doesn't have to be a big, drama. I'm genuinely sitting on my hands. I'm like, we're on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you're not already. Maybe on the next video, I'll actually give Sean the bird. Get notified.
That would be the first time on video, maybe. I don't know. And maybe the first published one.
Video. Oh goodness. I think it is really important to recognize that and recognize where the blame is coming from, and the projection, right? Without having a big giant story attached to it, because it is just
you really are agitated over there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're
it is. I'm sitting on my hands, which is not comfortable. It really,
you're like moving around. It's like your hands going, let me up, and your butt's going, no, I don't trust you.
You will behave. Right. I know.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I know it's mine. Like I do genuinely. And and it's both for me. It is the value and it is the personal offense. And just recognizing that, I mean, then it really does shift me to a place of being grateful. So I'm super thankful for the teachers, that responded the way that they responded, the teachers to me, who brought the personal lesson. And there really is a bigger conversation here, to Sean's point, about really what it actually means to pay attention and what it requires, for us to be able to pay attention, which is the takeaways that I'm having through this self-reflection, right, of what I actually need to do in my own personal life to clean up my house. So
yeah, and there's a component here that is really critical when it comes to being a coach and building a business. A lot of people are irritated at not getting the attention that they're not giving others, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get attention from other people, you want other people to pay attention to what you're doing, then make sure you're doing the same thing. Make sure that you're reading the emails, right? I mean, how many times do we hear people that get so irritated? People are not watching my videos, or people are not reading my emails, or people are not doing this and that. And the reality is, again, you're not doing it first. But this is an issue in our business quite a bit. I mean, we hear this. We help people build their businesses all the time and help people with the inner game of coaching. And it's an integrity thing. And one of the things that I think is really critical to understand is when we feel like we're out of integrity, we're not going to be very bold in sharing our message or in telling people about our lives or in sharing our products, right? Because our house is dirty. If our house is dirty, how many people are you going to invite over? Not very many. If you don't like the way your website looks, how many people are you going to send to it? If you don't really like the videos, if you don't really like your messaging, if you're not really clean with who you are, how boldly will you show up? Now, of course, right, like I'm talking to myself obviously here, but the speed at which you just shook your head, the slowness at which you just shook your head, said a lot. Like that's a really, really big thing. Now, there is no line that's called I'm done. I'm done. I feel great about myself. I'm totally proud with all of my life choices. And so now I'm going to become a coach and tell everybody how I can help them. It's not an event, but it's a constant willingness to look at ourselves. And so if we find ourselves nervous to speak out, if we find ourselves irritated at other people not coming in, not buying our programs, not doing whatever, we need to check in and just essentially ask some version of how clean are you? How clean is your house? How clean is your belief about the thing that you're writing about? How clean is your reciprocation of what it is that you're wanting other people to give you? And we need to give it first, right? The whole concept of kind of reaping what you sow, or there's something that I heard a while back, and I thought it was really profound. Some version of it, it'll come to me the way the quote was, or the concept was, but you it's not ask and you shall receive, but give and you shall receive, right? If you just ask people for their attention, but you don't give them their attention, or you don't give yourself your attention, right? It means, did you say I better hush? You just put both hands under.
I did. I picked my toes up. Stop stepping on them.
I mean, let's dive into that, especially because of your reaction. So, we talk a lot in our videos about you have to buy your own product first before you sell it. Yeah. And some of that is you buying the product called coaching. If you haven't paid for a coach, don't try to sell yourself as a coach, because you haven't bought the product that you're trying to sell. But another piece to that, not just the product of a coach, but have you bought the product that you're selling, meaning you? Have you bought you? If you want other people to pay attention to you, do you pay attention to you? Do you actually, with presence, listen to the voice that's in your head that's dying to get out? Do you read the words as a student? Do you really pay attention to yourself, whether it's your body or your mind or your relationships or your money or any of that sort of stuff? Are you giving the attention rather, although that may be some kind of a slip there that's profound and we dive into, but are you giving the attention that you are demanding? And generally what we see is when our house is clean and we're doing the things that we really want other people to do, then we stop demanding things and we start commanding things. And when it comes to marketing, you know, when we're really in that zone and we're really in that flow, and it's like we're feeling our message and we're giving ourselves that attention and we're paying attention to other people and we're pulling ingredients from other recipes, or we're listening to other conversations and we're putting it into our master recipe and all that stuff, it creates a magnetism that actually brings other people in. And there's this sacredness about the creative process and about the messaging and about singing your unique song that causes other people to want to listen, causes other people to want to hear what's going on, because you want to hear what's going on, because you're actually giving yourself a lot of the attention that will demand, or command rather, that will command other people listen also. But when you're just trying to get somebody to pay you, when you're just trying to get somebody to buy a program, when you're just trying to get somebody to do something, whatever the thing is, some kind of tangible act, when you're trying to manipulate somebody else's act and you're not present, they can feel that. And it causes carelessness. And I know that's one of the things, you know, you mentioned it a little while ago, being lazy. And I know that's one of your issues, you know, in terms of your values and triggers, when people feel like they're not being careful with you or with themselves or with, you know, whatever it is they say they care about or whatever it is you care about. And again, we got to just check in with ourselves. Am I doing the thing that I'm demanding others do? And if I am, two things will happen. If I'm doing the thing that I'm demanding other people do, they will probably start doing more of it, because I'll go from demanding to commanding. But if they don't, it won't matter as much. That's how you can tell. Like if you're really in the flow of whatever it is that you're doing, if you're really writing your emails, your messages, if you're doing your videos, if you're populating your blogs or whatever it is that you do, how you do it, if you're really doing it for the sake of doing it because you care about the message and you're doing it with this sacred creative energy, the number of people that read it don't matter as much, and more people will read it.
Yeah. That's so powerful.
You calm down. You totally calm down, which is cool. So speak to that.
And I'm so like, my body does not lie. Just the check of, it's like the check of like, am I like practicing what I'm preaching? Ultimately is what it is. And I haven't been.
So why do you think your body just calmed down?
Because there was a, like, oh, like that's it, right? Like I thought actually that I wasn't paying attention. Like initially I thought I wasn't paying attention to other people. But I haven't been paying attention to me. And just like when you said that, it was like my body was like, thank you. That's it. And so that was just settling for me. I think the other one was more activating, because I care so much, right? And actually, I'm so happy you said the word that you said a few moments ago, careless, because that's what it is. It's not lazy. it's careless, it's messy, right? And not like I think I'm messy in like the best way, but it's not like finger paint messy, which I am. It's like
Spill spill water on the 2 passengers on the plane next to you, messy.
yes, exactly.
Drop the suitcase and have it open up.
At the airport with all my stuff flying everywhere. Both of these things happened. Today was my Facebook post anniversary of when I spilled water all over my MacBook and called the Mac makeup store instead of Apple. That was today.
How'd that go down? How'd that go down? What is it? What was that phone call like?
So I spilled a glass of water on my computer, and I think it was probably after the water and the coffee on the airplane. And I Googled, I'm like, oh my gosh, before this thing shuts down, what do I do? And I did all the right things and turned it over and had it drying. And while it was drying, I wanted to call to make an appointment so that I could get it fixed right away. Right. And so I looked up the number for the Mac store. And bless my heart. And I was like, hi. And they're like, how are you? And I was like, I'm pissed. I fucking spilled like a glass of water. Like that's how I started the call, right? Is I like cussed, right? I'm effing pissed that I just spilled a whole glass of water on my MacBook. And the woman was like, oh my gosh, that's awful. I'm like, I know. Can I get an appointment? And she was like, yeah, you absolutely can. When? And I'm like, what do you mean when? I just spilled and I'm totally irritated, right? I just spilled a glass of I can be there in 10 minutes. That's when, when can you see me? And she's like, okay, we can get you in whatever time it was, like maybe 30 minutes. And I was like, fantastic. And she was like, do you want a full face? And I'm like, how I was this afternoon, right? Where I'm totally in my tirade, right? Where I'm like, a what? And she was like, a full face. Like we can do a full face or we can just do eyes and lips. And it was as if I just slowed down, right? Enough for, you know how the cartoons, they either fill up with the red as they're getting angry or all the color drips. It was all of the information of what was happening, slowly lowered down on my face. And I had I was right here and I was like, you're on the phone with me. I didn't even say bye. I just hung up. Tell her bye. I was just like, and we're done. I do wonder if at any point she connected, right? That I was doing what I was doing. And then I thought, I can't be the only person who's ever done it. So let me know in the comments.
She was totally with you too. Oh my God, that's terrible. You totally need an appointment with us. You're having a bad day, sister.
Exactly. She was with me early on. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. You want a full face? A full what? I just need can you fix my computer? Oh, no. No, you can't.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you can't. No.
It reminds me of my airport story where I was so angry. I've got my airport. I've got my ticket. It's clear. I printed it out and I'm at the kiosk and it won't take it. I'm putting my card in and it won't take it. And I'm doing the flight number and it won't take it. And I'm doing my birth date and all the things it just won't take it. So I'm irritated and pissed and go up to the counter my flight's not pulling up. Fix this, right? This is your fault. Which is pretty rare for me because I'm usually the guy that just wants to miss the flights, right? I don't care. But I was just irritated for whatever reason. And she's looking and, she's all calm and all this stuff, which is adding to my irritation at the time. It must have been somewhere important for me to go to get me all irritated like that. And then she looks up at me and goes, you're flying out of LAX and this is Burbank. And just that same thing, like you said, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No comeback.
No comeback. And so that's cool. You know, going back to however we got into these two stories, your body like really calming down. And that's obviously, you know, obviously to you, one of the things that we look at as coaches is body language. And so it'd be interesting, you know, I don't think this is something that we've ever highlighted on our channel before. Like for those of you to go back and watch, you know, rewind and watch. Although it's probably better if they refresh their page. Wouldn't that give us another view?
I think so.
Okay, so refresh the page, right? Go off YouTube, shut your computer down, and then open it back up, right? So it'll give us another view.
With someone else's email and subscribe.
Right, there you go. But it'd be interesting for those of you that want to see it. Like one of the things that we're looking at in embodiment is the body and what the body's actually doing. And so to see the activation and then to see Michelle settle, and you know, as a coach, that's when you see something like that, as you said earlier, the body doesn't lie. And you can always tell, and most people aren't aware of that. So they're going to say something, but their body's going to say something else. And when we notice the body, either way, when we notice the body settle, then something just happened. Usually it's a settling into truth or a settling into hope, you know, like, oh, now I think there's a piece to this that I'll just tell you what I think is a part of this as well, is you gave yourself something to do that you can actually control also, which is to spend time with yourself. If you need to figure out who it is that you're not paying attention to, which is irritating because that means you're careless and, you know, you really want people to know that you care about them. And what if they're angry at you or whatever, like that could spin you out if you know you're offending this, but you don't know how. And then just the moment of, oh, I just need to spend time with myself. So it's like simultaneously settling, but also empowering, because now you have the answer too. Like, you know what to do. But quite often what we see in coaching is the opposite, where people are somewhat settled and then they start talking, or while we're talking, they start getting irritated and agitated and speaking differently and head moving differently. And the tonality in their voice changes and the rhythm of the voice changes. And we know something just happened. Something was just disrupted. And usually that's when we get into our anger or irritation or intellectual conflict or fears or what have you. So anyway, none of this was planned for this video, but thank you.
You're welcome.
You're right. Thank you, Michelle's agitation and settling to provide a cool lesson here.
And thank you for the teachers, right? I said that earlier, and I know we didn't actually speak to that, but that's something that Sean really teaches that I love, is that the people that do bring the lessons, you know, to the word you just used, they are our teachers if we allow them to be that. And then the things that are triggering or are irritating now become really beautiful gifts if we approach it with that curiosity and that, you know, curious exploration.
Curious exploration. Yeah, I think that's a really important piece. Where were we going? Pay attention. Is that what, this is what we were doing, right? A few moments ago, I was like, what are we even talking about in this video? I forgot because it took a little detour.
Pay attention.
Pay attention. I guess I should pay attention. Wait, what are we talking about in this pay attention video? I don't know. I forgot. I'm not paying attention.
I wonder if anyone else is at this point. Maybe
yeah, just
backstory.
Right. Just Craig. You and Craig are the only ones that watch the videos all the way to the end of each other. And we know he won't be watching this because he don't even watch his own. So this idea of paying attention as it applies to our business, I think is really critical, right? Pay attention to people's responses, pay attention to people's reactions, pay attention to your own responses and reactions when you're talking, when you're reading your own stuff, when you're consuming other people's stuff. Just pay attention. You know, part of the, I say, brilliance of the best marketers is that they just pay attention to what works, not what should work or what used to work, just what works. When I do this thing, this is the outcome. When I do that thing, that's the outcome. All right, well, which one of those outcomes do you want? Well, I want this one. Okay, then do this thing. and then you can tweak on that thing, right? You do that thing, but then you do a little bit, do that a little bit differently, you know, change a subject line, change a color in the background of thumbnails, right? Those of you that have been paying attention to our channel, you've seen our thumbnails go through little evolutionary periods, right? It's because we're just trying to figure out what works. And the only way that you can figure out what works is to pay attention. And so if we've got this muscle called pay attention that's in atrophy, or we're using it in certain ways, right? We're paying attention to the things that are only going to make us right, or the things that are going to protect us against whatever it is that we're afraid of exposing or whatever, then we won't be able to learn a lot of these lessons. I know that's something that is really big for you, that we talk about, that if you're going to learn the lessons, you can't learn the lessons in protection mode. You can't learn the lessons from these sacred teachers while being irritated at the same time, right? I mean, while you were in that irritation mode, you would have never gotten that lesson. It would have been impossible because you weren't even open to it.
No, it was their fault.
Of course.
Duh.
Simple.
It's a
I was just going to say that, right? How can there be a lesson about their fault, right? Like, yeah, the lesson is cut them out of my life, you know, and that's unfortunately the lessons that a lot of people get. There is no lesson when it's their fault. That's profound.
And I want to say something to that. Something that I have really been embracing a lot this year is, and it's not comfortable, but if the irritation, if the feeling is in me, then it's me, right? Like if I'm the one that's experiencing the emotion, the irritation, then the gift, the lesson, it's mine. If it wasn't, it would be in them. They're not irritated. I am.
Yeah, that's really powerful. So like wherever the irritation is, that's where the package is that needs to be opened and examined.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
So pay attention.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
And blame is easier, way easier, like way easier. And sometimes more fun.
As a participant as well, as an audience member.
Yeah.
I was quite entertained. I was watching the blame show. And of course, that's just what happened today. You've been on the other side when I've been blaming and shaming and all the things that we do as humans.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Like the human, it happens. It's how long do we stay there, right? It's how long do we allow, at least for me and the advocacy that I have for the people that we serve, right? And you the same. How long do we stay there? Going there is not a problem. And then I got the lesson because I wasn't judging the fact that I went there, right? Like it's all this working together. If I can just embrace this is how I feel and accept it fully, then inside of that, now I'm willing to look at, okay, what's up with that? And this is in me. So what's going on here? Right. And then we talk about it with people that are mentors and coaches. And then we're able to come to that beautiful place of, oh, I got this. Yeah. And it really can happen like that fast. This kind of stuff used to derail me weeks. For weeks.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Well, there's another aspect to attention from a marketing standpoint. How to get people to pay attention, how to understand, you know, what attention actually is, like as a currency, et cetera. But that's a bigger conversation. So we'll have that in another video, which means that they must
subscribe to this channel.
Subscribe to the channel, and you'll get notification, not just when that video comes out, but when all of our videos come out. And feel free to share, you know, whatever your takeaways are, whatever questions you have around any of this. in the comments here. And if there's anything that you're really struggling with, whether it's what we just talked about, the triggers or strategy or anything at all with your business, there's a link in the description to book a free consultation call with us so that we can help you understand what your next step is and how we can help you over whatever challenges you might be dealing with and help you pay attention. Now, if you like this video and we still have your attention, then take a look at that video where I go over the consultation script of what to say to get you coaching clients. A lot of people do these calls to where all they do is just massive sales. They're not giving any value whatsoever. They're not really present with the client. I've had plenty of those calls where I could tell the only intention is to get my credit card number